Hello, sophomores. Hope that you guys are doing well. We are going to go ahead and get started with our um, next little grammatical unit that we're going to be doing for probably the next couple of weeks. So in your email, you have two attachments. You have a conjunctive adverb key attachment, which looks like this. And you also have a conjunctive adverb like practice worksheet attachment, which looks like this, okay? If you have a printer, you should print out both of these. If you don't have a printer, don't worry about it. You can always take notes and do these things on a piece of notebook paper as well, okay? So you don't have to have a printer in order for this to work, okay? It probably would just be a little bit easier, all right? So today we're going to talk about conjunctive adverbs. We're going to start this little grammatical unit with just this concept is pretty easy, okay? But just obviously this is really important because we're going to go over conjunctive adverbs today. You're going to have a practice worksheet that you can do on your own, and then I also attach the key to that practice worksheet so you can check your answers when you're finished. And then tomorrow, I have another practice worksheet that is attached to your email as well, but I don't have the answers to 10 of the sentences. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., we will Zoom. And if you can zoom into that, I'll go over the answers in that Zoom. And then that way also, when I'm finished going over all of those answers, if you have questions, you can ask those questions. After the Zoom meeting is over tomorrow, that starts at 11, it'll probably get over 11:30 or noon, something like that. Then I will upload your conjunctive adverb quiz to Canvas, and then you'll have to take that quiz, okay? This is like a big deal right now because even though the quiz that you'll get over the conjunctive adverbs will be probably shorter. Right now, if you look, this is JMC. This is what my JMC looks like. It's probably not what yours looks like, but you have all those different categories, right? And right now, your grammatical assessments, there's nothing in that category, and it's worth 25% of your grade. So that quiz that you take is going to dramatically affect your grade. It can make it stronger. It can make it go up or down. So this lesson is really important. So just make sure that you are watching this whole video, that you are doing the practice worksheets on your own. Again, it's a simpler lesson, something that I think that you guys will be comprehending pretty easily. But if you have questions, make sure that you join that Zoom tomorrow. Make sure that you ask your questions because you're probably not the only one that has whatever sort of question that you do have, okay? So let's just go ahead and get started. So first of all, conjunctive adverbs. In order to understand what a conjunctive adverb is, first we have to talk about the semicolon. Remember that the semicolon, which that's what it looks like, right? It connects two independent clauses that are closely related. So for example, I was late for school, semicolon, I got a detention, okay? Obviously you got that detention because you were late for school, right? So it makes sense here that you would use a semicolon to join those two independent clauses. If you said, I was late for school, semicolon, I got a speeding ticket. Okay, those are two totally unrelated things. It would not make sense to use a semicolon, okay? Now, sometimes you can add a conjunctive adverb after this semicolon to just make the sentence flow a little bit more easily and make it sound better. Because I was late for school, I got a detention. Although this is a grammatically correct sentence, it doesn't sound very good. It doesn't read very well. So you can add a conjunctive adverb after the semicolon. So conjunctive adverbs come after the semicolon and make the sentence run more smoothly. I was late for school, semicolon, therefore, comma, I got a detention. So I was late for school, therefore, I got a detention. That just sounds so much better. It reads a lot better, okay? The word therefore, in this case, is a conjunctive adverb, okay? When you use conjunctive adverbs in sentences, you have to make sure that you punctuate them correctly. Okay? Before the conjunctive adverb comes a semicolon in cases where you are going to combine two independent clauses. And in this case, I was late for school. That's a complete sentence. It's an independent clause. It has a subject and a verb, right? And I got a detention is also a complete sentence. It's an independent clause. It has a subject and a verb. And if you want to join those two independent clauses with a conjunctive adverb, you still need a semicolon to do that. And you also need a comma after it. So it looks a little different, but that's the way that compound sentences using conjunctive adverbs look. Okay, so I'll give you another example on this worksheet. So this is your conjunctive adverb key worksheet, because if you look down here, this is a worksheet that I give you with the answers on it. So you don't need to look at that yet. But so for example, there's got to be an example on here, right? For example, okay, right down here. I did the best I could, however, I couldn't finish before nightfall. Okay, I did the best I could. That's an independent clause. It's a complete sentence. You're going to join that first independent clause with I couldn't finish before nightfall. Okay, it reads so much better to use that conjunctive adverb, however, in that sentence, and you'll need a semicolon before it and a comma after it. Same thing down here with in particular. Sometimes conjunctive adverbs can also be short phrases like you'd see up here. There's so many of them. There's also so many more that aren't even on this list. You don't have to memorize them, but you do have to recognize them. Here's all of the common one-word conjunctive adverbs, okay? So I like to go to the movies. In particular, I enjoy action films on the big screen. So I like to go to the movies, semicolon. In particular, comma, I enjoy action films on the big screen. So you just, as long as you use these conjunctive adverbs, you just have to make sure that you're punctuating them correctly, okay? So let's go back to this practice sheet. Sometimes conjunctive adverbs can also begin a sentence. So in this case, when that happens, the comma should come after the conjunctive adverb. So for example, indeed, I do need to clean my room. Or you could put it at the end and say, I do need to clean my room, comma, indeed. There's always commas separating the conjunctive adverbs from the rest of the sentence, unless that conjunctive adverb is joining two independent clauses, in which case that's when you'd have the semicolon before it and the comma after it. So again, finally, comma, I will take the cookies out of the oven. Sometimes conjunctive adverbs are also short phrases, which we've kind of already talked about. I've touched on that. That do not. Sometimes they don't connect two independent clauses, though. So in the case where they don't connect two independent clauses, you don't use a semicolon, because that's the purpose of a semicolon, is to connect two independent clauses. In this case, you would just use commas surrounding the phrase. So for example, here, I can't wait to go on vacation, period. Timmy, on the other hand, is not as excited. So sometimes these conjunctive adverbs in these phrases, they are interjected into a sentence and kind of separate the sentence. They don't combine anything, okay? This makes perfect sense, and this is like the phrase on the other hand is used pretty often, right, when you're writing or speaking. So Timmy, right here, this is not a complete sentence. Neither is not that excited. So you would put commas surrounding that conjunctive adverbial phrase there instead of a semicolon, right? Down here, you can write this same sentence, like it says the same thing, only you write it differently. And if you write it differently, you've got to punctuate it differently. You can write these sentences however you want to. That's one of the best parts of writing, is you can word it however you want to do it. You just need to make sure that you punctuate it correctly, right? So it says, I can't wait to go to prom, semicolon. On the other hand, Timmy is not as excited. Obviously, I should have said on vacation instead of prom there. You get what I mean. I know, shocking, I screwed that up. So I can't wait to go to prom. That's a complete sentence, right? On the other hand, is this a conjunctive adverb starting this independent clause? So you would put on the other hand, comma, Timmy is not as excited. So Timmy is not as excited. That's a complete sentence. I can't wait to go to prom. That's a complete sentence. You have your conjunctive adverbial phrase right here in the middle of it, connecting those two complete sentences. So you need a semicolon and a comma. Okay. Down here, it says the same rules apply with the surrounding commas for standalone conjunctive adverbs that don't connect to independent clauses and instead interrupt an independent clause. So I've got 3 sentences, all pretty much the same sentence. However you want to write it, just make sure that you punctuate it correctly. Kathy is indeed the favorite child. Right here, this conjunctive adverb interrupts the sentence. You have 2 commas surrounding it. Kathy is not a complete sentence. The favorite child, not a complete sentence. So you're not going to see that semicolon there, okay? Indeed, comma, Kathy is the favorite child. You would have a comma after indeed. Kathy is the favorite child, comma, indeed, all right? So now it says your turn. Fill out this practice worksheet on your own. The answer key is attached to your email. So the answer key is that other document that you have in your email. So check your answers. All right, let's go ahead and let's look at just this first one down here together. Number 1, it says Harry Potter is very popular. Nevertheless, he isn't everyone's favorite. Okay. Hopefully you can pick out the conjunctive adverb in the sentence just by reading it. You can sense the shift in the sentence and where the semicolon and the comma would need to go in this case. Harry Potter is very popular. That's an independent clause. It's a complete sentence, right? On its own. So is he isn't everyone's favorite. He isn't, right? So you've got an independent clause here, an independent clause here, and the word nevertheless is your conjunctive adverb. So I would put, because I have 2 independent clauses, a semicolon here and a comma here. And I can't figure out how to write on a PDF, so otherwise I would do that for you. But if you do look at your key, if you look at your key, you'll see that for number 1, there's your semicolon, there's your comma. So you can check your answers with that. If you go back to this worksheet though, you'll do all 15 of these sentences and check your answers on that key. Then I also want you to do these 10 sentences on your own. There's no answer key. You're going to have to zoom into our meeting tomorrow at 11 while I go over these correct answers tomorrow morning at 11 with you on Zoom. And then that way, if you have more questions or if there's something that you're not understanding, or maybe you did that worksheet on your own and your answers are just not matching up or something, you can ask on Zoom. I'm sure you're not the only one. Okay, so that's tomorrow at 11. Do you have to Zoom? I'm not taking attendance, all right, but obviously that would be something worth your while, because again, this quiz that you're going to have after that Zoom meeting, that's going to be worth, a significant portion of your grade right now. Eventually it won't be, because we're going to continue to do these little grammatical lessons throughout the next week or so, probably the next couple weeks actually. So just make sure that you are keeping up with that you're studying for that. And all of these quizzes that you take on your grammatical lessons, you can use all of your notes. Okay, so you can have your notes all out there. Again, I would print this off if you have a printer. If you don't have a printer, it's not a big deal. You can always just write the sentences out. That's fine, okay? Take some pictures of these notes on your phone so that you have it when you're taking your quiz or whatever's easiest for you, all right? So just make sure that you are on top of this, that you're working on this, checking your answers, and I will see you tomorrow on Zoom at 11 a.m. Okay, have a good day.